Hi there. I'm David Batsoffen and I host a travel blog called Travel and Things. At the moment, I'm doing a series called In Conversation With. And today I find myself in conversation with the owner of Ian Blonde Tours. That's Gilda Swanepoel. Gilda, how are you doing?
Hey, David. I'm alive.
Yay!
No, I'm actually quite well.
Good.
How are you?
Clinging to the wreckage, my darling, clinging to the wreckage. You know
Oh,
as well
you've
as
been to the bush lately.
yeah, well, that was work, but it was a week in the bush, so I'm not really complaining. Um, you and I are in a similar position because we're both non-traveling travel people. You take tours and I write about them. So it's a bit awkward. As I said to somebody recently, whatever you were on the 26th of March, all you do is you put the word non in front of that now, because that's what you are.
It's so sad.
Yes, it is. But then you see, you get
But yeah,
people
it's
like
true.
yourself
Yeah.
who,
But it's before the 26th of March.
well, when did I come back from the bush? I think I came back on the 15th. I was in Welgevonden. So I sort of just missed it, unfortunately, because I wouldn't have minded being locked down in a five-star lodge in Welgevonden for a few months, not being able to leave
Yeah.
and at their expense. But at the moment, I was saying to somebody, the original words were, "You got to reach out to people." Then reaching out became passe. Then you had to lean in, and then you had to pivot. So who needs a gym? Because you're reaching out, you're leaning in, you're pivoting. You're leaning out, you're reaching in, you're pivoting. And you are the epitome, the absolute epitome of somebody who has taken your situation, pivoted to the nth degree, and gone from running tours of Joburg to selling firewood. I mean, let's start there. How the hell did that come about? I'm fascinated.
Desperation, darling.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I'm fascinated too, to be honest. I kind of pinch myself once a week and I just think, how did you do this? What? How did you do this? But it was pure desperation. We've stopped working a month for long
Mm,
already. The tourism industry was hit first. Our
yeah.
guests disappeared. Our guest borders locked down before ours. They got ill, stopped coming. We got scared. No to my last guest because they came from highly infected countries. So I didn't want to test. It was weird.
Mm,
Um, So for the first 2 months, and you know what people don't realize is that I had to refund all the bookings for the rest of the year. So even the flow that I had, I couldn't keep. So it
mm,
was literally a month zero. It was crazy. And I think in the first month was just shock, like for everyone else. A little bit kind of dealing with it. The second month I realized, oh dear, I don't have money. I was very fortunate that I had some previous tours that without me asking, gave me money, sent me money from Spain, sent me money from
wow.
Johannesburg. I could survive on that a little bit. I asked the landlord for a break. She refused, hence moving now. They also saw my update in this time. That's quite incredible. And I got so panicky. I have things to pay. I live somewhere. I got so panicky. And as it was, just before lockdown, I have a fireplace here. I went out to Northwest and went to buy some firewood. And I thought, yes, I'm sitting with this firewood. I actually know that kind of had an idea where the flies were.
Mm,
And I went out and just hounded them down for a week until I found them, which is not an easy task, but if you know me, yeah, nothing is really a challenge. And tested the wood for a couple of weeks until we found what we thought would work. We made a couple of mistakes in the beginning. And when I advertised it, I said, let me see how does I have a bucky. As you know, I've got the famous Hilux.
mm,
And you've just said it. People wanted to help in the beginning. People were, had to reach out and people responded to that. And people responded. People And it was mainly my clients or people that have been following my social media and
Yeah.
my journey, you know. And the response was overwhelming. I just sold so much wood. And suddenly I could pay all my bills again. It was amazing. But now we're here and the sun is shining and it's 25 degrees outside.
I was going to say, could you imagine?
Nobody needs firewood anymore.
Well, this is the problem.
And the borders are still closed.
Yeah. Well, now you can sell it as braai wood because now it's nice. You can get out, you can braai.
Yeah, but nobody buys 40 bags of wood, darling.
No.
That will last you your entire summer season. You know, it's very different than kachel oat.
Yeah, this is the.
So no, for me, delivering 2 bags of dry wood
No, it's
in
not worth it.
Parkhurst doesn't do the trick.
But you're lucky in a way, I suppose, that the majority of the lockdown has been in winter, because had this been in summer, wood would not have been your first go-to at all.
Sorry.
No.
Ah.
Somebody's trying to phone you, no doubt.
People calling me. It's
Yeah.
unnecessary. Sorry, David.
No. I know. The moment the phone rings, it freezes your picture. I heard the ding, so I knew what it was. It's not a problem at all.
Sorry, you're very soft. I can't hear you.
Can't you? How about...
You're like very soft now. Now I can't hear you.
Is that better? Sort of.
Nope.
Have you tried turning up the audio on your side? Because mine is at 100%. And I can hear you.
I did.
There we go.
It's not working.
Damn
it.
This is the beauty of Zoom. You'll just have to listen.
No,
Sit close, Gilda. Put your ear.
I actually can't hear you now.
Have you gone altogether? Oh dear me.
Now you're so faint.
That's strange.
Does Zoom have their own little volume bar?
Oh, hang on. No, it seems to be running fine on my side, and as I say, the sound is at 100%. I can use hand signals. I'll write notes and I'll just hold them up.
It'll be the longest I've interviewed ever. Let me try. It's very soft, but I'm going to try and hear you.
All right. So let's go back to, the last time I saw you, it was still Ian Blonde and a Bucky and your late puppy. That's how long ago that goes. And then unfortunately your puppy died and you took to the streets of Johannesburg doing tours in and around Joburg. So talk to me about the tours that you did and let's work from there.
All right. So, yeah, you're right. I had this little, I won't really call it a blog, but just a travel platform. It was called On the Highlands, which was indeed with Pixel. And we chatted to you. I remember that. And that was kind of me setting up a travel personality, if I may. This is why my name is so personal, because it's like it's a lot about me. So it's something that you can do with everyone. I tour in areas that I'm connected to, that I have a history to, that I have a connection with, or that I have friends in. And I try and connect communities to tourists. I think tourism has changed a lot. And if I look at myself, I'm not the type of person who will book a tour if I travel, unless it is something that I do not have access to, a type of a community, a type of culture. But I certainly don't walk around the guide and being told history stories. Not to say that there's not a place for it. Of course there is. It's fascinating. It's not my thing. So for me, I think tourism has changed a lot. I don't think so. I know so. People are looking for more immersive experiences, and that's what I'm trying to offer. So I did try, well, kind of started in what was my passion, was food, and started going to areas that I was super familiar with, like Forberg. And it took all of a week, like so many friends there, that I could really interesting to it together. And it became kind of a food thing. And people got interested in food tours, asked me about food tours. So I designed the Mal food tour, I designed the Brixton food tour, both of them now unfortunately dead. But Soweto, how did that come along? Like a lot of friends in Soweto, and kind of started going there. A lot of my clients started contacting me, wanting to go there. And I was always a bit skeptical because I do feel the Soweto story should be told by Sowetans.
Mm.
But then I realized there's really a need for, especially overseas guests, that's our only market for Soweto. And, you know, they come here and they're not us, they're not South Africans who call this a spade. They do not live in a multicultural country, especially Johannesburg. You know, Johannesburg is so open-minded, it's so mixed here. And I realized that they kind of need a translator, a cultural translator. Someone that they can ask the questions to that they'll try to ask to the locals. Why are people doing that? What is that about? And I too shy to ask to the locals, and I kind of become the translator between the two communities. And it works incredibly well. I use a lot of locals there on my tours. I use site guides and guide the entire day. And that has become by far my best-selling tour. And the thing that I enjoy the most. Also, my tours are not as highly curated. I only take small groups and I give people the opportunity. I will look at you, and if I see that David is very interested in history and wants to go see the struggle stories, we focus on that. But I have people, I always tell a story because I love it so much. We were in Joburg, there's no tourists there, and we were drinking a coffee at my friend's restaurant on his deck, and across the street there was a shebeen, and taxi drivers drink there because they want struck. It was early in the morning, it was like 11 in the morning. And they called us over and said, "Hey, Mulungus, we love you. Why aren't you here?" I said, "No, we're coming." And we ended up spending 3 hours drinking beer with taxi drivers. That's what I want to do on my tour. I want to look at you, look at your experience, and be able to change it.
Yeah.
I don't want to, like, guys, Mandela House next. Sorry, you cannot have this like interaction now anymore. Gotta go. Get in the bus. I don't want to do that. And I think that's what my tours, you know, sets them apart and why they were so popular. Yeah.
So where do you find yourself now?
After that, what I was kind of doing in the end is I'm like you, I'm a traveler. It's actually quite hard for me to be in Joburg this often. And what I see is our guests come here, and what do? They fly to Cape Town, and they fly to Kruger or some overly expensive lodge, and they leave. And I'm like, oh my God, but you've missed the best. We are one of the countries with the highest return rates in the world. And people come back and they're looking for different experiences. And I want people to travel like we do. Get in a car, do road trips, don't fly everywhere. Make your destinations different. Spend 2 nights there, 3 nights there, 4 nights there. My favorite part of the country is Zululand by far. Zululand in winter is bliss. It is Africa as much as you can find Africa in Africa. You know, the same the West Coast and the Eastern Coast, those kind of places. So that's where I was going, and then lockdown happened. But now maybe I'm thinking, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe people come back and they don't want to get airplanes and they don't want to do these bus tours and things anymore. Maybe they now do want to be driven around in a private vehicle with one guy, one driver, and go to small lodges where we can cater for them. You know, and maybe more personalized and less congested. So maybe a good thing. I don't know.
This is what seems to be happening at the moment. Is a lot of it seems to be smaller groups and closer. As you say, there's nothing stopping you getting in the car and driving to Cape Town and spending 3 nights along the road at small little dorpies and in little B&B or little guest houses, and you've had a whole different experience. As you point out, people come, they go to Cape Town, they go to Kruger, they go home. We've seen Africa, or we've seen South Africa. Rubbish, you've seen nothing. You've seen Cape Town and you've seen Kruger. That's it. And now I think, as you've pointed out, Gilda, there is a space once the internationals come back, and even locals, because there are many locals that haven't been to Graaff-Reinet, that haven't been to Hanover, who haven't been to, where's the Owl House? New Bethesda.
New Bethesda.
Yeah. You know, get in a vehicle and go there. Stay the night in Colesberg at the Merino Inn, for instance, and then you drive on the next day.
Yeah.
There's plenty to do. Can keep you busy for at least a week, and you've had a wonderful holiday,
Yes.
and you haven't wasted your money in dollars, euros, or any other international currency.
You know, David, I see it often when I travel. I was lucky I could travel a little as well in lockdown for business. And people go like, where are you? I'm like, I'm in a northern Cape, in a town called Yangitor, and I'm staying in a main hotel. I don't know if you saw that. And nobody knows what I'm talking about. And it's because South Africans, also a lot of South Africans don't travel like that. They are not the road tripper type. A lot of my friends, especially the corporates, fly, they do the same thing than the foreigners. If they travel here, they fly to Cape Town and otherwise overseas. And then I come back and I've driven around the entire country and I've seen these crazy places and I've spent a quarter of the money they've spent and I had a much better time and I had a much bigger adventure.
Yeah.
And they go like, where are you? Well, so I hope so. I really hope that we can inspire South Africans to
travel, you know,
spread their wings.
But they mustn't spread their wings. They
And
must
use us in the process.
Because the interesting thing for me is I spent the night, 3 nights in Pof Adder, of all places, at the Pof Adder Hotel. And that gave me one of the best pizzas I've ever eaten. And you know, most of the fancy hotels and lodges, when you get to bed at night, there is a sweet of some sort on your pillow, a chocolate or a toffee. In Pof Adder, I walked in and there was a basket of sweets and chips. It's like somebody had raided a tuck shop and just thrown it all on the bed. It was full with chocolate.
That's up the line.
It is, and it was wonderful. And the interesting thing there is, although there is a solar array in the town, it was built and is staffed by Spanish. So the locals have very little work, unfortunately. So they start drinking at sort of 10 o'clock in the morning. Or should I say by 10 o'clock, they're already, let's be kind, they're already frot drunk at 10 o'clock in the morning. And then they become very funny because then they want to tell you stories.
Yep.
And they will sit you down on the side of the road and for a bottle of cheap wine, they will tell you the entire history of the town from when their groot opa grew up there until where we sit today on the side of the road, having a bottle of wine at 11 o'clock in the morning.
David, you are absolutely saying it. You know, my most favorite stories are in small town bars. It's exactly that. You know, I always give people a tip. What I do when I arrive in a small town, I always go check out the local bar. And it's in a farming community, which 95% of the time in this country will be. I always ask them, so lykie price van skaap of bees or whatever they farm is, or millies or you know.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm quite knowledgeable about the place van skaap and bees, and I can actually talk farming and I can talk cows, but that's how you get in.
Yeah.
And
true.
once you're in with those guys, man, the stories just flow. It's amazing.
I lived in Nopoort for a year. And there, if you didn't,
Where?
in Nopoort, in the Cape. It's near Craddock, sort of Craddock Graaff-Reinet area.
Yes, I know where it is.
It was a railway junction. Now I think they only have a drug rehab center left there. Everybody else has left.
That's
but in the bar,
quite a notorious one.
It was indeed, or it is indeed. But the hotel that I stayed at, the bar had one of those troughs where you put, if you were smoking, you know, it was a trough with sand that you dropped your cigarettes into. But a lot of times those mensa there were too frotdronk to go to the toilet. So they would stand at the bar, drink. It was normally Clippies and Coke. They're putting Clippies in one end, Clippies is coming out the other. And nobody says a word. Admittedly, there were not many women in that bar. They sort of tended to stay clear of it. But it was too much trouble to walk 4 paces to the toilet.
We're going to put off our potential guests if we keep on telling these stories.
No, but you know, Gilda,
There
that's
are also sophisticated people on the platform, David.
there are indeed. Hard to find, but there are. But you know what? The beauty is stories like this, where you can go to a place and it's not, you don't have to wear a jacket and a tie to go to a bar. You know what I mean? You can just be yourself. And as you say, once you are accepted by the locals for whatever reason, and they include you in their inner circle, and then they start telling you stories, you need to have a recorder with you because you're never going to remember everything. And
That's true.
I don't know if you've done West Coast, because there you need a translator. Forget an interpreter, because the Afrikaans they speak on the West Coast, and I'm fluent, is a different Afrikaans to anywhere else in our country.
Yeah, luckily I can understand that. I've spent a lot of time there. But yeah, it's amazing. I always call it it's like songwriting for me. If they speak, it's like they sing. They're so poetic, it's so beautiful. Yeah.
Isn't it a pity?
Untranslatable.
It loses everything in the translation. At the end of the day, you just want to be able to enjoy it for what it is. As you say, it's almost song-like. So do you need to understand every word? No. There's lots of waving, like the penguins in Madagascar. There's a lot of smiling and waving. That's all you need to do. But it's a pity that the West Coast.
Yeah, I think that's where we're lucky speaking Afrikaans.
Because we can at least understand some of what is being said.
Sorry. Struggling to hear, eh?
I'm sorry. Is the West Coast still as underutilized as it was, or were they starting to go there just before lockdown?
I'm not sure if it's really changing. I know the lower part of the West Coast, I'll drift, the lower part, especially Pater Noster, that has become quite commercial. It's accessible from Cape Town, but my favorite part of the West Coast is northern parts. It's more Elandsbaai, Hondeklip, Hondeklip, it's so crazy. Those places, and I haven't really seen movement there. I'm not sure. I haven't been there in a while, to be honest. I go check it out again. But it's so inaccessible. It's so far.
This is the issue.
I think a lot of modern city people are so scared to drive. They're scared to go on a gravel road, even though they drive 4x4s.
4x4s are not for.
I don't want to drive too far. It's too much effort.
But 4x4s are not for gravel roads. 4x4s, Gildy, are not for gravel roads. 4x4s are to put your car on a pavement so that you don't have to park more than 10 meters from your favorite coffee shop in Sandton. That's what a 4x4 is for.
This is true. Except mine.
No,
Mine was made for gravel roads.
Yeah, but this is it. My wife and I have been away often, and for some reason I'll be following the GPS, and it takes you on sort of a bit of a back road, and you find yourself 11 or 12 kilometers in the wrong direction on a gravel road in the middle of nowhere. And bless her,
my favorite.
She's never screamed at me. It's always a case of, let's just turn around. It's very gentle. Just let's turn around, go back the way we came, and write this down to experience. Because we have done it more. And I
like doing that on purpose.
Yeah. No, but it makes me cross because I've sometimes done it twice going to the same place. And you think, didn't I remember from the last time that I should not have turned right at that particular gate? It's still another 5 kilometers down the road. So do you believe?
So where to next for you?
The difficult question. Back to the bush, hopefully, because that's my happy space. But as I was saying to somebody just recently, the issue now, I've been invited back to several places, but everybody, and I'm sure you find the same, because I know you've just been dealing with the guys in Cullinan, and I want to talk to you about that, about the hotel in Cullinan. Those sort of people are not looking to have travel writers and those sort of people rock up and go, oh, please, can you comp me 2 nights so I can write an article about you, because they want paying people in their beds at the moment. They've been 5 or 6 or even 7 months with no business, and they've managed to sustain themselves. And now it's a case of, yes, we'd love to have you here, but maybe next year, not now. And so I have to be understanding, because if I wasn't, then I wouldn't get the invites that I've had. And I've had great, unbegged for, uncalled for invitations, and I've got it all on tape. I wait right until the end when they say, David, we'd love to have you back at our lodge. I go, I've recorded it. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. But talk to me about Cullinan.
Yeah.
Say
again?
Talk to me about Cullinan.
Yeah, so that was also came out of a bit of inspiration, thinking, what can I do? My international guests aren't here. I was wondering, this was still when at the interprovincial lockdown, and I'm wondering if we do little provincial experiences if people go for it, which I think would have, but then of course out of the blue the interprovincial lockdown was lifted.
Shame you one step
now
behind.
We'll see if people will go for it or not. I think people are more keen to get as far away from their house as possible. I'm not even sure if it's going to work anymore, even though I think for the people who don't have leave or don't have that much money, it's going to be maybe have enough money to just go over and have a nice experience. Can amazing. So it's going to be a very cool tour. We kind of start, I don't know if you know Linky Vessels is. She's a maverick, fabulous character, chef and interior decorator and artist. She lives in Cullinan, and so we're going to start with a lunch in her garden at a beautiful artist cottage on the railway. It's beautiful, feels like you're on a farm. We're not going to give you a menu. She's going to see what she finds in a week and forage the markets and see what's in season and see what the weather is like, and do a fabulous 4-course vegetarian lunch for us. And I don't like entertaining people the whole time as a tour guide, because I will go crazy if people do me. So we'll do the lunch and leave people. The sleepover will be in the famous Cullinan Hotel, the Premier Hotel. A lot of history. The guys can leave the lunch early, go watch their soccer or cricket or rugby or whatever. I'm sure women will stay at his house and under the trees. And then the next morning, we do a fabulous walking tour with a local that knows the history and everything down inside and out. We'll take people to places they did not know existed. We'll tell them stories of the several ghosts that is walking in and still. Yeah, so a very gentle, simple, nice, but quite different experience. So nothing that you can currently do in Cullinan. You can go do it by yourself. You can go down the mine by yourself. You don't need me for that. We're going to give you stories that you can't access.
That's what I think people want. How far is Cullinan from Johannesburg?
It's about just over an hour's drive on a weekend. And a week maybe a bit more.
You know, you mentioned
about an hour and minutes.
Okay. You mentioned the railway station. Years ago, I got stuck in Prince Albert in the Cape, driving back from Cape Town to Johannesburg. And I had to wait from the morning when the car broke down to the evening for the train to arrive to get on board, obviously. Gilda, I've lost your sound. You're on mute now. That's why you're battling to hear me. Your sound has got, or you're stuck, one of the two. There we go, you're back.
This is sorry, so annoying, people phoning.
No, so I got stuck in Prince Albert, waiting for the 6 o'clock train. It's 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm very tired. I fall asleep on the floor of the lounge of the only hotel in the town. Wake up and I'm surrounded by an Afrikaans family who are now having tea. And who don't make a big deal out of me lying on the floor just having woken up. The worm looks down at me, he says, "Soek sie 'n bietjie tee in a biscuit." And I went, Dankie oom. And I sat with them and had tea and biscuits. Nobody asked me why I was sleeping on the floor. That was not important. Important was I was there. I needed to have tea and biscuits with them.
Hospitality and Catalan. And listen, Prince Albert is not this little town to get stuck in for a couple of hours. Hope you had some cheese and olives.
There was nothing. I'm talking 1979. There was nothing there. Nothing.
Oh, it's not Ice Prince Albert. Okay.
No.
I
It's not
can't imagine what it's
no.
like.
It's,
Yeah, no.
yeah.
One
Nowadays,
hotel.
yeah. Just that. I think that hotel is gone now. It's become a truck stop. So, where to for Gilda going forward? Are you going to concentrate on the local markets? Are you going to pivot again because now coming out of winter, wood is not going to be the top of your list anymore, unfortunately?
You know, it's so hard for me to plan. I don't want to concentrate on the local market. I also think for tours, that market is saturated completely.
Yeah.
We have so many tour guides doing inner city experiences now. It's completely saturated, and they are fabulous. They are so good at what they do. It's not really my thing. I never really want to focus on that. I need to travel a bit more. So no, I don't think I will. I will kind of do these experiences like Cullinan, like I do now. We'll see how it goes. If it sells, we'll see. But I think the important thing is while you can is to remember that things will return. Might take a year, it might take two, but it will return. So for me, I think is to stand my brand, to keep my brand where I want it to be, even though it means I'm not making money. I will come up with other ideas in the meantime, like the wood. Probably not as big and successful as the wood, but I'll come up with another idea how to sustain myself, I hope, in the meantime. But I don't want to really lose the focus of that brand. And, you know, designing a proper tour takes a lot of energy and a lot of time. I don't see myself running around doing that now for a market that, you know, in September, David, in 3 months, it is holiday season here. Borders are open. We never do in the local market at that time. So no, I don't think I'm going to focus on that. That being said, I'm doing the Cullinan thing, and I'll probably design something similar like that if it works. But for me, it's like a waiting game, and things change all the time. You know, even in lockdown, a lot of the operators were selling vouchers. I refused to do that because my tours have a complication for me. If I did sell vouchers, I would have been in so much trouble right now trying, you know, to actually do that and pay my suppliers, and it's been a cash flow draw for me. So for me, I'm kind of like a play it by ear kind of person, and this month to month, what's happening, what's going, are people changing, how are they spending their money, you know, what is the vibe? I see right now people are doing what's familiar to them. They go to their beach houses, they go to the Kruger. I don't know if you're probably aware that the Kruger sites crashed this week. Fabulous.
People who have never gone to the Kruger before are dashing.
Playing it by ENC.
Gilda, if people want to find out more about what it is, if people want to find out more about what it is that you offer, what are your web details? What are your contact details? You've lost me.
Okay, so another interesting that happened to me is like my website disappeared during COVID.
Oh.
It disappeared, and the hosting company can find it, and now they're holding me hostage. I have to pay $3,000 American to get my website back, which I don't have. But I'm working on it, so my website is ian.co.za. And I'm on all the socials, you know. I basically, if you're going to Google Inbound, you find me.
All right.
Yes.
So there's Facebook and
tours
Instagram
on Facebook,
and
Gilda
Twitter
on Facebook. All my contact details are everywhere. It's on Google. If you email Inbound, you're going to find my phone number on there.
Fair enough. Gilda, I've been in conversation with Gilda Swanepoel. We've been talking Ian Blonde tours post, pre, and after lockdown. Gilda, thanks so much for being a guest. It's been a pleasure chatting to you, even if you can't hear me clearly.
I know, it's so frustrating about that. I don't know what happened. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for having our back in this industry like you always do, and putting the word out there for us as well. And I hope you're going to be back bush next week or very soon.
Very soon. Gilda, thanks so much. Take care. All the very best.